also in Gaza. Shifting focus to elections in India, the world's largest democracy, voting has begun and will continue for 44 days, divided into 7 phases. There are 2,600 political parties registered in this election, and of the 1.4 billion people, 969 people are eligible voters who will choose their representatives for 543 parliamentary seats. The BJP, which has been in power since 2014 under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is confident of winning a third term. However, the opposition alliance India is also hoping to swing the results this time around. The election results in India and which party comes to power does have a global impact, considering India's increasing partnership with the West and its role in countering China. Whether it will be a majority government or a coalition will have an impact on the international policies and India's stand on the global stage. Let me now go across to Michael Kugelman, somebody who watches India very closely. He's the director of South Asia Institute at the Wilson Center. Michael, always a pleasure to have you on the program. How are you looking at these elections in India? We've seen polling across 102 constituencies, a very tight fight. The BJP, the NDA government, looking at a 400-plus target. We'll have to wait for 7 phases to be complete for the 4th of June to actually see if the NDA achieves that. But what are some of the global cues? What are some of the trends that you are watching out for in India?
Well, indeed, I think just the fact that this is such a large election and so much of the global media coverage of this election has focused on why this is such a large, such a big election. I think that for me and many other analysts, the outcome is there's not that much intrigue about this election. I think that clearly the ruling party is favored to come back, but I think that this election is significant, not as much because the significant levels of uncertainty about what's going to come, but the fact that this is India's election. And we've seen in recent years that India has really made major strides in becoming an increasingly consequential global actor. And it's to the point now where it's essentially the world's most populous country and one of its fastest growing economies. So I think that the significance of this election is tied to the fact that this is India that is going through this election. So clearly, the world is watching, and that includes capitals across the board, and that includes India's friends and its rivals, and certainly the global south and many other countries in between.
Right. Michael, do you get a sense that a lot of the foreign powers are taking it for granted that there will be continuity of politics in India?
Oh, yes. I mean, I can't speak for every foreign capital, but I think there is a pretty strong consensus that, there will be what we've seen play out over the last 10 years or will continue to play out over the next 5. But it's very clear that much of the world, aside from India's rivals, and it's a pretty small number of rivals and competitors that India has at this point in time. Much of the world is keen to engage with India, and honestly, that's the case no matter who wins the election, no matter what party is going to be in charge. I think that we've seen this emerging consensus globally in recent years that views India as a critical actor for strategic reasons, but also as an important economic player, whether you're talking about a source of investment or a trade partner. We've seen India increasingly involved in new connectivity projects, as well as many-lateral arrangements. So I just think that there's an expectation there'll be continuity in relations with India, no matter who is heading the next government.
Okay, Michael, I'd also like to ask you about the role of the Indian diaspora in the United States. How active have they been in the run-up to the Lok Sabha elections? What's the mood in the diaspora, according to you? Because you interact with a large number of Indian Americans there.
Right, and of course, I wouldn't want to overgeneralize. It's a very large Indian diaspora in the U.S., as you know, and traditionally it's been one that has been quite enthusiastic about the current prime minister and quite supportive. Things have changed, certainly in more recent years, with younger generations, I think, taking a bit of a different position. But no, I think that the diaspora is just stepping back and watching it all play out, as so many others in the United States are as well. But we know that the U.S. diaspora, the Indian diaspora in the U.S. and many Indian diasporas elsewhere, feel very connected to India and certainly to the Prime Minister. So it's only natural that there be a significant amount of attention among the Indian American community focused on this election playing out in the coming weeks.
Right. Michael, thank you so much for joining us with your view. There is a lot that the India and US governments need to do together. And as you said, there is bipartisan consensus in the United States that the relationship with India has to continue on a strong trajectory. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Global Eye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.